to Finn vs. History. I'm here with Horatio Gould.
Oh no, I've been done up like a kipper.
5 women have been done up like kippers, absolute fish.
He's done me there.
Allegedly, we don't know.
We don't know.
I think some of them tripped and fell, personally.
Wearing high heels on cobble street.
Listen,
hard.
it's a recipe for disaster. High heels. They're drunk. They're in high heels. The streets are cobbled. There's no lamps. I think some of them tripped and fell. And
this poor Jack the Ripper bloke is getting a lot of blame.
What's Jack the Ripper? What are you talking about? The street? An uneven street, potholes. Is that what's done this crime?
It's the council's fault.
Yes, I think so. I've got a long had issue with Tower Hamlets Council, run by radicals. So 5 women have been absolutely done
hit for
in.
6.
Yeah, hit for 6. Mary Jane Kelly's been completely smashed out the park, eviscerated. Her kidneys pond to shoulder.
It's a thrashing.
It's an absolute thrash. It's a mauling. Jack the Ripper has beaten Mary Jane Kelly definitively. And no one knows who's done it.
Yeah.
And in this episode, we're going to go through the suspects, and we will be unveiling at the end who Jack the Ripper is definitively.
We're going to do a live unmasking of
Jack the Ripper. We've uncovered new evidence. I mean, we're as bad as the newspapers back then. Really.
Oh God, yeah,
completely, yeah. But
I guess that's not our. I guess the only thing is it's
job.
not our job. Our job is to stoke tensions and misinformation. That's what we're
exactly
what we're paid for.
Yeah, exactly. It's to
we do not have like a crest with Latin saying "We seek truth."
We should get one. Though.
Then I said that I was like, "That's a pretty good idea."
That's a good idea, actually. Not many podcasts have a crest.
To seek truth is noble, or something like that.
Yes. What would it be to feel what happened?
Yeah,
as opposed to what actually happened. So listen,
start off,
5 women have tripped and fallen, and some of them have actually. I mean, the state of some of them, they really need to clean themselves up.
Look at the state of you.
Absolutely. What are you doing down there with your kidney on your shoulder? Come on, put that away, please.
Mary Jane Shelley. Is that her name? Mary Jane?
It's Kelly, isn't it?
Mary Jane Kelly.
Say her name.
Say her name.
Believe her.
Mary, I do believe her.
Yep.
Actually. Even though we spent the first 3 minutes casting doubt.
I'm open to other narratives, as always, as with anything. I'm a truther. I want the truth.
So, Mary Jane Kelly, who has the first crime scene photograph ever, pretty harrowing, even by today's standards.
Bad. It's a bad photo.
In the worst room in London, and fair play. That does seem a pretty terrible.
It's a pretty bad room. Well, I will say...
that's thrown around a lot, the worst thing ever, but that does seem pretty bad.
I wouldn't want to sleep in that room after that's happened.
But, someone gets that room, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is part of the... Because there's a tourist attraction around this whole thing from the very beginning. Someone rents that room after her, and they don't wash the blood off the walls, and they sell it as a tourist attraction.
Wow.
So I'd probably pay a threepence to have a peek around that room.
Christ.
So it becomes for years, it's like it's a tourist attraction to see where she was.
The person's not sleeping in it or anything.
No, I don't think so.
As they buy it.
I don't think so.
Right,
but I think they did try and scrub the blood off the walls, but it stained it forever.
Right.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason that it's a tourist attraction as opposed to like just an awful thing that's happened is that Victorian portraits, photographs, they're so unemotional that now when there's like a missing kid or whatever on the news, it's always like a really cute photo, they're smiling like that, and you're like, oh, that's sad. But in this day, like, oh, a woman's been murdered, what does she look like?
Does it look like a laugh?
And you're like, well, fucking who cares then?
Learn how to smile, love.
No, cheer up, love, might never happen. Like the difference between those morgue photos, right, where the woman's just, where like the body's like, all it is just doing that, and that's her like on a good day. So, do you know what I mean? It's not as if...
What's the point you're making, sorry?
My point is, I'm trying to understand, why is it Jack the Ripper, where these 5 brutal murders are somehow like fun and a tourist attraction, as opposed to like the Columbine school shooting? Why isn't there a guy taking around Columbine going, and here the shooter killed a fat kid? Like, it's just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So there's something about, it's the fact that it's unsolved, but I also think it's the fact that the Victorian portraits are so otherworldly, because we wouldn't smile for a photo like that. Or they don't even smile, they're just like that. Yeah. So the people are like, well, fucking haha, who cares? You're dead.
I guess, yeah. I mean, doing the Columbine school, I guess it's also a school. And if you had tour guides going around while there's classes going on. Yeah.
Don't mind me. So this is where 4 children were brutally slain by an incel. And the guy's wearing like camouflage trousers. He's got an AR-15 strapped to his back. I mean, it's all tasteless, is my point.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it can't just be the distance because this was happening at the time.
This is happening at the time, yeah. It's because they didn't really care about... Because they're prostitutes.
And
so it's fair game.
Yes, of course.
They're fallen women, so they were asking for it.
Not fat, chubby children. God forbid the chubby children get shot.
Yeah.
Where these prostitutes tripped and fell on their high heels and ended up in the right state.
If this was 5 kids,
yeah,
there probably wouldn't be the same... There wouldn't be tours around it, maybe? Or maybe there would.
I don't know. I don't know.
It was the first time any of this has happened, though, because the newspapers had just
this is it.
Started.
It's the first true crime.
Yeah.
You know, making a murderer begins here.
Yes.
Making a murderer.
Well, he did it.
He did it. It's the same person. That's the main suspect. Is that disabled one from making a murder?
His brother, the
disabled
one.
guy. With
well, you can make him convict.
Is his name Brad? I think his name was Brad.
I think his name was Brad, and you can make him say he's guilty of anything.
I mean, if we call him now and say there were some murders in 19th century London.
Did it?
Yeah, no, that was me. Yeah. I'll give you a biscuit if you say it was you. It was me. All right, done. Yeah.
Mary Jane Kelly. So to start off with the suspect list, if you don't mind.
Yes, sorry, please. And bear in mind, we will be adding new suspects into this.
Basically, she had a boyfriend, and she was, because it was the only way for women to make money, she was a prostitute, and because he was...
Some women did have jobs, it should be said.
What?
In making matchsticks.
Foot jobs?
No, they weren't all sex workers.
All right, yeah. You could... What, so are you trying to say... Can't you make matchsticks like the rest of them, love?
Well, it's hardly rocket science, is it? It's matchstick making. But obviously, it's a quicker buck to notch off a policeman or whatever.
Yeah. Basically, Mary Jane Kelly's boyfriend wasn't a huge fan of the fact that...
That she had a face?
Yeah, well, that she was a sex worker.
I see, right, okay.
Right, he really didn't like that.
No.
So the theory is, it's been sort of disproved, that he basically was to scare her off being a sex worker, and because he just felt like he hated prostitutes because of what his girlfriend was doing.
Yeah.
He started killing prostitutes so they would go in the news cycle and scare her into doing it. Right. Because she did... It's said that she was doing prostitution and then stopped around the killings, and then a month went by, and then when she restarted it once again, she was killed, potentially by him. He is said to have potentially have asked someone to be his alibi on the night of, and it's quite suspicious where he was.
Okay.
You know.
But that's been disproved, has it?
It just probably wasn't him. I don't know what. A lot of these things, it's evidence, but it's I don't know. There's not enough.
There's no evidence at all.
There's not really any evidence at all.
No.
So it's kind of a more fun one, I guess. A bit more of a laugh.
So the big suspects are. Well, I don't know what order we want to do this. Do we want to do this with the wacky ones? Because there's several types of suspect.
Well, okay, yeah.
There's wacky ones which clearly weren't.
Oh yeah, sorry. And so neighbours heard them arguing all the time because he kept being like, "Stop being a prostitute." She kept going, "Fuck off," you know.
So there's the ones that there's a big three, say.
Right.
There's Kosminski.
Yep.
There's the artist Walter Sickert.
Walter Sickert.
And then there's the Dr. Tumbleton.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name?
His name is
Francis Tumbleton or something.
Yeah, I love Tumbleton. He's my favourite.
So let's start with your favourite, Francis Tumbleton. Probably the cutest sounding suspect.
Ridiculously big moustache.
Dr. Francis Tumbleton, the village doctor. Very stupid moustache.
So he was an American who has quite a weird life, right? He's a bit of an eccentric. He dressed up as a military man. He sort of looked like a German soldier from World War I.
Stolen valor kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd never been in the military. He's from. He was an Irish immigrant who moved to America and then basically became this sort of medical quack, if you will.
Yeah.
He was selling remedies to stop yourself balding. It was on TikTok now, where there's all those kind of buy these vitamins.
TikTok shop.
TikTok, yeah. The TikTok shop. You know, if you get these vitamins, that will make sure you'll get 6-pack. All that.
Right.
He was doing that back in the day. He was a misogynist, but I don't know what that means.
What does that mean in the Victorian times?
They all were. Obviously it was a misogynist. He was arrested for alleged complicity in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln in 1865.
I heard this.
Which is because of he was I don't know, friends with someone who was friends with who shot Abraham Lincoln? What's his name?
I don't know, but maybe he's connected because he actually sat through the entire play. Everyone was like, "That's suspicious. Plays are boring." I reckon he killed him.
He was gay. Or he definitely did homosexual acts, and he was actually arrested for doing because he was when they were investigating him for the Jack the Ripper crimes.
Yeah.
They also found out he was gay.
Yeah.
And so,
you're done, mate.
You're done anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like how they got Al Capone. They got him on a technicality, you know?
Was he gay?
No. So it was more like, it wasn't the crime they were looking for him. They got him on tax evasion,
it's like
not being a drug.
It's like when they discovered Viagra. They were trying to solve heart murmurs or heart problems.
Yeah.
And then it found out it gave you a huge erection.
Yeah.
And they never actually, the thing it ends up being, it's never what they're looking for.
No. Yeah. And so he was like an eccentric in the area who was just tricking people into buying medicines that don't work at all.
Yeah.
The first victim, Mary Ann Nichols. Mary Ann
Say her name.
Mary Ann Nichols. She had 2 brass rings that she always wore, and they disappeared the night that she was killed.
Well, she was a brass.
Yes. Lest we forget, she was a brass. And basically, when he moved back to America, after all these murders happened, he apparently had 2 brass rings that looked exactly the same that he never took off. And he kept as a memento.
But wasn't he...
So that's the big evidence.
He also killed a lot of his patients by mistake. He was kind of
but he was a shit doctor. But you're implying that he was actually trying to do some he was like a dentist trying to do...
Yeah. They'd booked an appointment, these women, for backstreet dentistry. And he was like, all right, we just open wide. Oh, fuck!
That is a bad doctor.
And very bad dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just going 6 sound, 7 sound, 8 sound, and then he just slices it completely open. No, he made a lot of money. He'd killed a lot of his. It's sort of a Shipman-esque guy. Killed a lot of his patients by mistake, or at least he's guilty of manslaughter. Then he was arrested, and this is 2 days before the last murder. Before Mary Jane Kelly gets absolutely smashed into the stands. Right? The Ripper absolutely gallops down the wicket. He's really got their number.
Cracks her into the covers.
Yeah, he's just wearing the spinner down by this point. Mary Jane Kelly's like Jack Leach on the Last Ashes tour.
Yeah,
He's just deflated. Going, fucking another 6. So he is arrested 2 days before the last murder because maybe he's gay.
Yeah.
Because he's been gay in public. He's being a bit of a nanny boy in public.
He's being an anti-boy.
He's a ninny in public, so he's arrested.
Which means he could be enjoying autumn too much.
Yes, he's got, what a lovely sunset.
Hey.
Get in the jail. She's got syphilis.
You're
looking at a leaf. Get in jail. You see, the Victorian era just made more sense.
It did. It was simple.
But his bail was set at the equivalent today of £42,000. I can't remember what the original amount was. 50 quid or something. Right. And he made it because he was rich. He paid it.
Oh,
and so he got out.
Yeah.
So he could actually have done the last murder if he is the suspect.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because nowadays you would never suspect, gay men are women's best friends. They're not sort of cutting them open.
Right.
Because the hatred of women is a straight man's thing, isn't it? Really?
Well, you think so, but I think they're now reopening that. I mean, obviously, if you watch American films, there's always the gay best friend. And I guess you see it. They often roam around in packs together, gay guys and girls.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of misogyny in the gay community that's now being finally looked at.
Oh, really?
Because I think gay guys, they like female culture, right?
Yes.
They like pop stars. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of shit they're into. But I don't know if a lot of them like women. Because there's a lot of gay guys where it's like, you got nothing for me, personally. I don't want to have sex with you, and I find you annoying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gay guy misogynists who are like, actually, in a way,
stick to my own.
I don't need anything from you.
Yeah.
Boys, boys, boys.
So Tumblety is a dentist who accidentally opens up 5 women by mistake.
Yeah. So he's an option.
He's an option. He's a suspect. Another fucking mental possible suspect is Queen Victoria's grandson.
Right.
Prince Albert Victor. He is basically brought into the equation in early 1889.
Yeah.
So there's a Cleveland Street scandal, which is where basically a gigolo house, a house of ill repute, brackets for men.
Right, so male prostitutes.
Male prostitutes.
How you done that, lad?
I don't know
how you ended up with that.
Listen, this goes against everything Victorian society is set up for. There are men,
there
are married women, and then there are prostitutes. Those are the 3 genders in Victorian society. Somehow...
There's hermaphrodites.
There's some glitch in the matrix, and there's a male prostitute house. It's raided, and a bunch of high society men are found there, And what some of the people who are caught, and bear in mind it's illegal to do any of this sort of bum stuff.
Yeah, they can't stand it.
They can't stand it.
It's kind of the opposite of ancient Greece, isn't it?
Yes, it is the opposite of ancient Greece.
They really are.
Yep. Civilization has taken a big U-turn since Greece into the Victorians. And so a lot of high-profile people are found in this male whorehouse sting, this raid.
Yeah.
And basically...
What are you bloody doing in there?
Yeah.
Get out of him.
Basically,
what are you chaps getting up to?
In order to try and get off... Not get off, but get off the charges.
Yeah.
One of them says, "Oh, do you never guess who was in here? Victoria's grandson."
Right.
So basically, he's sort of thought to be homosexual, bisexual. There's also something about him being a bit disabled.
Right.
Being a bit like slow, mentally
Right.
disabled. He probably had learning difficulties.
Okay, well, he looks a lot like me. So
he does look like you. He looks a lot like you without your glasses on. So definitely had learning difficulties. Potentially gay, bisexual, and again, because there's this whole thing about gay men hate women in the Victorian era.
Yes.
Purported mental instability, which some could believe could have led to violent outbursts. He also... Then there's another theory. There's another theory that he had a baby with a East End whore and who was Catholic.
Because a lot of gentlemen would go into the East End just for a bit of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's sort of like Vegas.
Don't shit on your own doorstep.
Exactly.
Go and shit on a prostitute's chest in the East End and come home. So he would, but there's a rumour that he had a baby with
and in the East End, no one had a doorstop for themselves. So that's why they're all shitting.
Well, the woman would lie down and that would be the doorstep. Women were doorsteps. But he had a baby with a working class Catholic, possibly prostitute.
Big no-nos.
Who wasn't a prostitute back then.
Right.
And so what he did was he ordered someone to go to the East End to kill prostitutes in the hope that one of them would be the one. So basically...
I mean, I guess he's neurodivergent.
There's a hitman who is going like, right, I've killed her. And you go, no, you haven't. You go, oh, fuck's sake. Who's doing it five times.
So he's trying to trial and error. Anyone who looks like a prostitute. Well, that's every woman to me. I'm Victorian.
Yeah, I'm Victorian.
Well, this is a terrible way to solve this.
None of these women have wedding rings. How am I meant to talk about a needle in a haystack?
Or is it just a terrible hitman who's been given direct details and then keeps thinking?
Exactly.
I mean, it is pitch black, so you have no idea.
So is it literally... Because surely there's factory fires. There must be some kind of...
No, there is, but it's very low light. Even the gas lamp posts, they're not that bright. You know?
And there are people walking in like wee willy winky hats with the big candles.
And to be honest, what Lobby would do is just matches.
Yeah. God. Terrifying. So,
and certain alleyways had no light, remember?
Yeah.
So if you're by a factory, there would be.
So basically, also there's this idea that comes out in the 20th century that, you know, the royals, there's a conspiracy, they're stitching us up.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's the Queen Mother, wink, wink, Diana's dead the next day kind of thing. So there's a bit of this going on with the Prince Albert Victor thing. They think, oh, that's why it was covered up, because it was grandson. But it's pretty much definitely not him, because on the royal logs, because they obviously have to log whenever they go anywhere, he's in like Scotland the whole time.
Yeah, unless it's the terrible hitman.
Which it could be,
which
is quite. But also it's proved as not true that he had a kid. So
right. So let's go on suspects. So John Pizer, who worked as a bootmaker in Whitechapel, and he was, I think, in the early days of the Whitechapel murders, many locals suspected that Leather Apron was the killer. Right, this is before Jack the Ripper nickname was started, which was picked up by the press. Pizer, John Pizer, I think Polish Jew, Jules.
Polish Jew.
Yeah.
Okay, so he did it. I think.
Yeah,
I think he did it.
I think it was him.
Probably him.
But there was another Polish Jew in here. So
it was one of them. I reckon.
Yeah, okay.
I reckon one of them.
Was known as Leather Apron. He had a prior conviction for a stabbing offence, and Police Sergeant William Thick,
there you go.
remember him?
Yeah, Willie Thick.
Apparently believed that he had committed a string of minor assaults on prostitutes. Now, what's a minor assault?
Well, the theory goes, isn't it, that men who kill women have started by a bit of like there's goosing somewhere in the beginning,
right? And
this is the whole theory.
You don't go straight into
You're not Mary Jane Kelly.
Yeah,
that's not your first attempt.
No. You got to work. Yeah, you got to work out your. You got to work out your voice in the clubs.
You come to the crease. you've got to
Yeah.
just you've got to. You
But it's
leave
like
your
open mics.
leave
You
your
need
first
to
few-
try a lot of things to work out what actually works and what doesn't. After the murders of Marianne Nichols and Anne Chapman in late August, Thicke arrested Pizer, even though the investigating inspector reported that there is no evidence whatsoever against him.
But remember, William Thicke is arresting anyone he sees who's wearing a hat or who's Jewish or.
And so I think the big evidence against Pizer was that he's Jewish.
Yep.
And he had an apron.
Yes.
So the first victim was found near an apron. So they arrested the first Jewish person they saw with an apron. And also, with all these people, the idea is that they have some idea of how to use a knife, which you think is complete bollocks.
Well, I just think when they're like, oh yeah, he must have been a
'Cause he's a
surgeon
bootmaker.
or a butcher
Yeah.
because of the intricate anatomy. You see that last picture?
Yeah.
He's just gone fucking apeshit with a knife, hasn't he? It's just like a toddler with a cleaver.
Yeah, if he's a surgeon, he's one of the worst surgeons I've ever seen in my life.
He's clearly not a skilled knifeman at all. Because he's just chucking fucking organs out of a woman, isn't he?
But he was probably he was harassed by the press really early on.
Pizer was.
Yeah, because
Right.
it was basically said it's him, and then he would just be outside of his house. Everyone's just going, "Are you killed? Are you killed?" So
Yeah.
he got a lot of shit early days,
But there's another.
and then he sued the press.
Did he?
For that, and there was like a libel case, and he won £42,000 for damages.
Wow.
Yeah.
In old money.
I think in today's money.
Right.
I
Okay.
think. In old money, that's like
That's
15
millions.
million.
Yeah.
So, which is fair enough. Which a lot libel case. I don't know how many libel cases there's been. Is it libel? It's not. Is it what?
Defamation.
Defamation. I wonder
It
how many.
probably is libel.
Yeah.
Should we get onto the big one? The big one is the other Polish Jew, Aaron Kuzminski,
Yeah.
who is a barber.
Yes.
He's mentally a bit no.
Sure.
He's in and out of lunatic asylums.
Right.
He's looked after by his two sisters.
Yeah.
And at one point they go, fuck this, he's mad. Please take him.
Yeah.
So he's in like workhouses. He's in all the kind of, the sort of the safety net that's not a safety net. It's just a rope that you hang against. He is a barber. And so that leads into the whole knife thing. He's again much like Tumblety was a bad dentist. He's a fucking awful barber if he's not.
Now, what are those conversations like when you speak to your barbers? In my experience, are quite extroverted and chatty.
Yeah,
Like,
I think he's chatty.
yeah, because to be honest, it's quite a neurotypical profession, the barber. I think.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? They're very like sociable. How you doing? What you doing on your holiday? You go anywhere nice in summer?
Yeah.
It's that sort of vibe. I can't imagine him being my barber. Yes, I want to kill women.
Well, I don't think he said. I think if he said that, it would be a much clearer cut case.
I don't know. A lot of evidence was badly tampered
It's true.
with.
Tampered with. The only person who
This
ever
is
had a
someone
good
writing
view.
about
This
him.
is the assistant commissioner.
Yeah.
The only person who ever had a good view of the murderer unhesitatingly identified the suspect the instant he was confronted with him. So this is the only person who ever thinks they saw Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
When he saw Kaminsky, he was like, oh yes, that cunt. That's him.
Right.
That's him there.
So also apparently fit their profile, a sexual maniac of a virulent type, that he was living in the immediate vicinity of the scenes of the murderers. Yeah, so where all of them happened, if you look on the map, his house was pretty much equidistant from all murders. Which I don't think... I don't see that as... I don't see... Because even the guide was saying that as... I don't see that as great evidence.
I'll kill women as long as I can get home within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't buy that.
But it definitely doesn't work for him.
But the people who work on the case, in their memoirs afterwards, they think, we let him get away.
Yeah.
And it was that guy. His whole mental thing, part of his mental thing was he couldn't accept food that someone had made for him. So he ate like sandwiches out of the bin and stuff.
Right.
Because he thought that was safer.
Because he thought someone was trying to poison him he was Jack the Ripper. Is that the implication?
I don't know if it was because he was Jack the Ripper.
Or because he was mentally
disabled. Yeah.
Right. Okay. It's tricky. It's a really tricky one. It's hard to know why anything means anything.
But then this one recently has come up a lot, right? Because there's this bit of evidence. So that shawl that we talked about after
that's the big thing,
Catherine
right?
Eddowes or the Swedish woman. So there's a shawl that's discovered with blood on it that's not seen as the victim.
Catherine Eddowes' shawl, I believe, which is the person who was cut in half in Mitre Square outside the policeman's house.
Bad dentist.
Yeah, bad dentist. some big ripper, a massive ripperologist nerd, top historian on the subject, won the shawl in an auction in 2007.
Yeah.
And then he tested the shawl for DNA in 2014. And then it is very disputed because the DNA does match descendants of Kosminski. I mean, though Kosminski had no children, his sister's descendants. But then every time there's a progress made within the DNA field, they redo it, and then it starts casting.
What happened was it's mitochondrial DNA, right? So it's all about the maternal descendants of both. And the charge was that the mitochondrial DNA was a match on both the suspect, Kosminski's descendants, and Catherine Eddowes' descendants. But when this bloke found the cloth, this ripper twat, this nerd, he went into a room with a descendant from Catherine Eddowes. And so if she breathed on it, that's contaminated evidence, right? So it's basically, they haven't tested it at all properly because he just went, look, I found this thing. And she went, and now that's mitochondrial DNA is breath, basically, right? It's anything. So, and also Kosminski, it's all passed down in the maternal. And so he wouldn't have had it. He wouldn't have had the DNA. So basically it's been disproved.
Yes, but I think there's been really complicated DNA testing where it's not, obviously it's a 130-year-old shawl. Like it's been incredibly tampered with, of course.
Yeah.
But I think there's been relatively groundbreaking DNA style testing that kind of puts him in the picture, I think. And there was loads of articles that came out 2 days ago. And I guess it keeps doing the rounds.
Yeah, but it was an article in like the Hindustan Times.
Yeah. Why do those guys are always writing?
They're always writing anything.
Have you noticed that? The Hindustan Times always comes up.
You Google anything, the Hindustan Times have got a story about it.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Who knows?
And Jack the Ripper, this story went around the globe. So it was all over. Everyone was on tenterhooks about it.
Yeah, so here we go. Look, you say it's unmasked, but all that's happened is that one of the historians who thinks it's Kosminski has been interviewed recently and he says it's 100% him. And so now everyone said it's him.
I guess part of it, I do just think it's him, and I don't know why. I guess I just...
You think the Jewish guy did it?
I just think he's probably the most likely.
Yeah, I think he is the most. He's got the most going on.
Yeah. Should we just read another one?
Yeah, so let's go down to Michael Ostrog.
Right.
Michael Ostrog was a Russian-born professional con man and thief. Used numerous aliases. Among his many dubious claims, he once been a surgeon in the Russian. He's a drag queen. Yeah. He's a drag queen. Russian Navy.
He's a surgeon. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the guys who joined the case, the inspectors, just thought it was him because he didn't like Russians, I think.
Brilliant. Right. Let's get another one.
Yeah. So
it's now going down a bit. Yeah. I mean, they probably don't know who he is. Or
I think it's pretty clear we don't know who he is.
Yeah.
James Thomas Sadler was a friend of Francis Coles. Who's the last victim added to the Whitechapel murders police file. So, but she was murdered a bit later. He was at sea at the time of the first 4 murders, released without charge.
Well, he's not a great suspect then.
I mean, William Thicke is really... he's just pointing at people who look a bit weird and going, I reckon it was him.
Sounds like it might be him.
Surin Klosowski.
Yeah.
Who was born George Chapman, no relation to Annie Chapman.
No.
Born in Poland. It's basically if you're Polish.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
They reckon. Oh, no, this is... Oh, I know who this guy is. Okay. This is the wife poisoning guy.
All right, this might be one of the big 3 suspects.
He might be. Yeah. So he was convicted of wife poisoning. And
is that a crime?
Right, it is. if it's more than one, it is. Because he successfully poisoned 3 of his wives and he was hanged in 1903. So, he's the barber, right? So he's getting... So basically they're going butcher... Doctor.
Yeah, well, what's
barber,
the nursery rhyme? The baker, was it? You know
Tinker, Tailor, Soldiers.
That's a book. That's John le Carré novel. But there's a one about the butcher did at the baker or something. That's
Candlestick Maker.
Yes, that's from this.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is it from Jack the Ripper?
It's a nursery rhyme about... I forgot what the actual rhyme is though. But you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, the butcher, the baker,
the candlestick maker. That's kind of about the suspect.
That's William Thicke going through the suspect. So yeah, he was married 3 or 4 times and they all died tragically. It turned out he poisoned them all.
Right. Now, did he go into the... All right, here we go. Let's do the rhyme.
Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub, and who do you think they be? The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, and all of them out to sea.
Right.
Again, it's not... I mean, it's... If that's what Willie Thick's going on, there's no wonder we haven't found the guy, is it?
Yeah.
Because he is poisoning people, they think, well, you're not a woman cutter if you're poisoning your wife.
Yeah, was he going into these marriages planning to poison his wife, or did the wife piss him off so much that he poisoned them on 3 occasions? Did he give them a chance is what I want to know.
The second 2 wives, I reckon he gave more slack to. Because he's like, okay, I poisoned my first wife. Let's see if this one's story gets any better.
Poison your wife once, shame on me.
Yeah. Poison her 3 times, we're all very boring.
Yeah. Well, because you could either see him poisoning his wife 3 times as being, well, this guy's clearly a bad husband, or you could say, well, clearly these are 3 bad wives.
He had rotten luck in marriage. So
why is he? Is it just because he was in the area?
He was in the area at the time, and he clearly had a thing for killing women, I guess.
Yeah.
And he was a barber. But that's the other thing, is that they say that he was good with sharp tools. Mm-hmm. I mean, do they even know?
They all have this moustache.
Yeah, they all have. I mean, they all look fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Apart from the gay disabled guy, looks like you.
It looks like me. Well, I mean, I don't look dissimilar to any of the. All the Ripper killers do sort of look like me.
You're like a sort of E-fit composite. It looks like you in that suit. So basically, but the current thinking is that it's like the most likely suspect is Kosminski, but no one knows.
Yes, no one, and we'll never really know.
And Kosminski died in a lunatic asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a happy ending for him.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's dead from this.
So what happened in the aftermath of all this is, because it was obviously such a big news story, it uncovered how terrible it was living in the East End. And basically after this, Queen Victoria pushed to get like these big things through Parliament that basically cleaned up the East End.
Really?
Well, it didn't clean up the East End. It's still.
Have you been there?
I live there. But from where it was,
right,
it couldn't get any stinkier.
Yeah.
But there was like almshouses. I think the Salvation Army was set up after this.
Yeah.
And so like almshouses for the poor. Well, and there was just better conditions in general.
Women actually.
So this was very much the worst that East End ever got.
The suffrage movement for women starts just after this.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that linked or?
Well, you could say Jack the Ripper did a lot for women's suffrage.
In the same way that Harvey Weinstein did a lot for feminism.
Started the Me Too movement, in a way. In a roundabout way. Jack the Ripper.
Are you saying the straw that broke the camel's back for women's suffrage was when they saw Mary Jane Kelly absolutely hit for 6?
For 6.
And they're like, this feels unfair.
Do you know what? If I had the vote, I'd vote to stop this. I'd vote that we don't. I feel like I'd like a vote to say I don't want to be cut up to this level of extent. I think that's what women thought. Yeah, because when was Women's Suffrage League founded, or whatever it's called? It's 1890.
Oh right,
1890s, I think. We'll do an episode on the suffragettes.
20 minutes.
That'd be probably quite a quick one.
1908.
1907. That might be a different league, though.
Yeah.
There's lots of leagues at this point.
Anyway, this is not a podcast about women's suffrage. This is a podcast
about women's murders. We don't want to know if they want to vote or not. We're going through their corpses.
But yeah, that's all the main suspects.
Are there any other suspects you'd like to bring to the table?
Well, what's the Walter guy? Should we talk about that Walter?
Oh, the artist.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I listened to a podcast.
Nearly none of them are here. The only one who it possibly is Kaminsky. The rest is bollocks.
Yeah, the rest are all bollocks. Yeah.
Kaminsky could be him. We don't know.
So this guy, the only thing about him is that he was an artist who made a picture called Jack the Ripper's Room.
Yes.
And it was his own bedroom. And that's why people...
Well, if you're giving the game away that much, picture of the murderer selfie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's basically what he did, but it's also like a scary room. I mean,
he's quite a good painter.
I think he's quite a big deal, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that in the Victorian period, there was lots of violence and there was lots of mental illness.
Yeah.
You know, Vincent...
And everyone's pissed.
Everyone's a prostitute.
Cheap booze.
This was inevitable, really.
What?
Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. I'm surprised it didn't happen earlier.
I think it did happen earlier. I think it happened a lot and it's still going on.
It's just no one could read.
No one could read.
It was actually it was rising literacy rates that made Jack the Ripper
exactly.
What it was.
Yeah.
Because guys have been chopping women in half in England for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And it just reached the point where someone goes, "They did what?
They did what?
He's been doing what?
Sorry. What? I don't understand for that.
I've literally just learned to read. What?
A, B, C, D. 5 women slit open in East London. What the fuck? So yeah, Sickert's thing is that he's a creepy painter or whatever. But this is my point. This is the era of like Vincent van Gogh cut his ear off at this kind of time.
Yeah.
Basically, if you were alive in the late 19th century and you were mentally a bit doo-doo, you're doing some magic. There's just no safety net.
No.
Nowadays, all those people who say they got autism or whatever, they'd be fucking that Francis guy cut his ear off and put it on the track or something.
Yeah.
Like it was all just so grim.
Yeah. What, the Victorian London?
Yeah, but but the whole era. If someone's mentally ill, they're cutting something.
Yeah.
Themselves, women, cats,
Yeah. I mean, I guess you've got the lunatic asylums, which must have been quite a new thing.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. But I think that brings us to the end of our Jack the Ripper series. I mean,
I still think it could be an old Japanese woman.
Yep. Or a Jamaican man.
Or a Jamaican man who split the batty in two. Put the kidney on the shoulder.
Those are the two suspects.
I'd like to offer. I think we need to get off Jews and onto some of the other races.
Yeah. Let's move on. It's old hack. Old hat.
Let's look at the Japanese. Let's look at the Jamaicans.
Yeah.
So that's the end of our epic series on Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Would you say society's learned anything from these?
From this tour de fart. I think we've added even more confusion into the mix of the Ripper case.
I would be surprised if this is the last episode. I wouldn't be surprised if that we're not completely cut up by Ripperologists. If they do absolutely Mary Kane jelly us. What's she called? Mary Kane jelly.
I think this is the worst thing to happen to Jack the Ripper since he chopped up Mary Jane Kelly.
No, I think the worst thing about this whole thing is
the fandom that came out afterwards.
It's the people who do the walking tours.
What, you think that's the real crime?
Yeah, we're the real victims. People have to walk past those fucking twats in top hats going, come with me now for a journey through East London. Oh, it's spooky, it's dark, everyone's poor. I can't be doing with any of that.
And on that note, we bid you adieu, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week for a different topic. If you'd like a bonus episode that won't be about mutilated corpses, I say that. I can't say that. I can't promise anything.
Look elsewhere because it's the wrong podcast.
You can become a truther and sign up to the Patreon, where you'll find a whole fleet of bonus episodes, including
threepence a month,
including our series on the rise of the Nazis.
Yeah.
But either way, thanks very much for watching, and we shall see you next time.